I went back to the Stone Age in Minecraft, using a data pack that makes the game more realistic and way harder. It's called Lithic, and when it's installed, I have to stay in adventure mode, so I can't break a single block unless I'm using the right tool. By the end, I managed to make it through the Stone Age, the Bronze Age, and the Iron Age, and built myself a pretty classy house. But let's rewind a bit. To kickstart this adventure, I had to tap into my inner caveman genius and figure out how to obtain the essential tools that would shape my destiny in this primitive world. Now, I may not be able to break any blocks, but I can at least kill mobs, and in this data pack, animals can drop bones. Bones are important because they actually allow me to break a few things. Most importantly, they allow me to destroy gravel. Gravel drops rocks and flint, and if we combine a piece of flint with a bone, we're able to create a crude axe, so we can chop down a tree and get some logs. Now, I bet you're thinking I'm gonna turn these logs into planks, but that's not how it works in Lithic. We can't make a crafting table yet. We've got a long way to go before we're at that point. We can, however, use the sticks that fell out of the trees to make some more tools, using the rocks we got from the gravel to make a pickaxe, hoe, and a better axe, and using a stripped log to craft ourselves a shovel. We can also create a campfire, which will let us cook food in the meantime. While I can't pick up water since I don't have a bucket, I can at least use my hoe to set up a crude farm by the coast, but it's not to get food. It's actually so we can craft ourselves some mud bricks to create a kiln, which is basically just a Stone Age furnace. That'll take some time to grow, so let's go get mud, which we can find in and around rivers. I only really need 4 pieces, but I'm extra. Alright, I don't want to wait for my wheat anymore, so I'm just gonna kill a few more animals to get some bones and craft some bone meal. Boop, boop, boop. Now we have some wheat. Actually, this item is called straw now, and the wheat is actually these little grains. Whatever. Okay, so we can craft the mud and the straw into packed mud, make the packed mud into mud bricks, and then make the mud bricks into our kiln, bringing us one step closer to modern civilization. Awesome. We can also quickly make ourselves a straw bed, so we're able to sleep through the night. Now we actually need something to smelt. I want to smelt some copper to make myself a copper pickaxe, but unfortunately, it's not as easy as throwing it in a furnace and crafting it in a crafting table. We actually have to make ourselves a crucible and fire it in the kiln. This will hold our raw copper, so we can pour it out after it's melted into a liquid. Now we've got to find some copper, which has a new texture, making it really difficult to spot from afar. Mining it gives us copper nuggets, which we can combine into raw copper and then into raw copper blocks. And this is what we'll be putting inside our crucible. Throw that in the kiln, wait a long time, and eventually we end up with molten copper. Next, we have to make a casting mold to pour this molten copper into. For this, I need sand, some honeycomb, and another crucible. And now we're finally ready to pour our copper and make our first metal tools. This actually gives us 2 pickaxe heads, which when crafted with a stick, creates our copper pickaxe, meaning we're almost out of the Stone Age. This thing actually looks really cool as it loses durability. It oxidizes and changes color. You'll have to wait and see it happen for yourself. Anyways, with a copper pickaxe, we finally have a tool strong enough to break stone, although it just drops a bunch of rocks. We're also able to mine tin, and after we gather enough of that, we'll combine a tin block with some copper and melt it down in order to create bronze. We're officially out of the Stone Age. Welcome to the Bronze Age, ladies and gentlemen. It just got real. And to spice things up even further, I won't be making a sword or a shovel or anything like that. We're creating a bronze saw. This is used to saw stripped logs into wooden planks, which means at long last, we can get ourselves a crafting table. Normally, I do that within the first 30 seconds, but hey, check out this cool new texture. Sadly, my caveman brain still isn't smart enough to craft a chest, so I don't really have a way to store my items. But I can get myself a smithing table, which we're gonna need later in order to reach the Iron Age. We're also gonna need a furnace, and I don't mean a kiln furnace, I've already got that. I mean a brick furnace, like the kinds you make a pizza pie in. No, this data pack doesn't have pizza yet. Anyways, to make a brick furnace, you need to get a bunch of clay to make bricks. So I spent a good amount of time getting clay, but then I was attacked and killed by cave spiders like 3 times in a row. And by the time they'd finally left me alone, I forgot what I was doing, and I mindlessly crafted 9 crucibles. Can't believe I wasted all that time. Then I remembered what I was supposed to be doing and went back underwater to get more clay. After finally getting back on track and smelting those clay balls into bricks, I was able to get myself a brick furnace. Using this, we can turn the raw raw iron we've been slowly collecting while mining into 3 iron blooms, which is one step closer to the Iron Age. But there's one final secret ingredient we'll have to seek out before we can get there. Oh, side note, I realized that although my caveman brain isn't good enough to make chests, I am apparently smart enough to craft barrels. So I actually do have a way to store my items, and I didn't have to throw away all of my rocks. Anyways, with my inventory decluttered, I can now go out to collect some more iron ore. It was a pretty decent mining trip. I got 8 more blocks of raw iron. But while I was just minding my business creating some more crucibles, I suddenly heard an approaching bison. Bison spawn very rarely, and they can kill you in 2 hits. So this was a pretty devastating thing to happen right next to my little camp. To make matters worse, there were also a ton of spiders that came out of nowhere, making life even harder. So I just kept dying over and over again, until I eventually managed to stow all my stuff away safely and then lure the monsters away from my camp. With that emotional damage irreversibly dealt, it was clear I needed to buff myself up a bit if I was gonna make it to the Iron Age. So I smelted down some more bronze and forged myself a bronze chestplate and a bronze helmet, which looked super snazzy. Then I trekked out to find the last thing I needed to refine my iron blooms: limestone. Limestone is dropped from dripstones, and unfortunately for me, there weren't any dripstone caves anywhere near me, so I had to walk really far away until I eventually found this one that was half underwater. By the way, these custom 3D dripstone models look amazing. Just felt I had to mention that. Anyways, I spent a good while mining as much limestone as I could, so I wouldn't have to come all the way back to this cave ever again. And when I eventually made it back home, it was time to get ourselves an upgrade. I threw some more raw iron into the furnace and used my smithing table with the limestone to turn those iron blooms into our very first iron ingots. We're officially in the Iron Age. Then I turned those 2 ingots into a long ingot and turned the long ingot into an iron hoe head. Now obviously I'm not going to make my first iron tool be a hoe. That'd be a little chaotic of me. No, this is actually just half of my iron pickaxe. But first, I wanted to quickly make a bucket because having my farm so far away from my camp was kind of starting to annoy me. I made some more iron ingots, turned one into an iron plate, and like that, I had an iron bucket. Now I can make an infinite water source up here and farm where I want to. I gotta say, this data pack makes even the simplest things like making a wheat farm feel so gratifying. Like, I worked so hard to be able to plant these seeds up here. Anyways, after collecting some more iron blooms from the furnace, we can create a second hoe head, combine those into an iron pickaxe head, and finally create ourselves an iron pickaxe. I'm sure you can imagine my excitement as I held it in my hands. Pure Minecraft magic. I also created an iron sword blade, which is actually useless until I create some leather for the hilt. This requires me to smelt some glass to get myself a water bottle, grab some animal hide, and a little bit of oak bark from stripping logs, and that'll get me a square of leather. With this, I can finish my iron sword. I could mine a bunch of iron to make some more ingots and craft myself some iron armor in the crafting table, but honestly, I really dig how the bronze looks. So instead, I melted down even more bronze and finished my armor set with some leggings and some boots. Now that I've fought through the Stone Age and the Bronze Age to make it to the Iron Age, I decided that the best way to celebrate is to stop camping outside like a caveman and start living in an actual house, built using the tools I forged myself through pure dedication and lots of dying. Hey, it ain't much, but it's honest work. I started out completely unable to break blocks and using bones to collect pieces of flint, but now I have a full set of armor, iron tools, and a house. I've evolved into a higher life form. This data pack was super fun to play with, and I really hope the creator continues to expand and improve it. It completely changed the way I played the game and made every small achievement so much more rewarding. I highly recommend you try Lithic out for yourself by visiting the link in the description. Again, it's just a data pack. No mods required. Anyways, with all that being said, I will see you in the next one.